Cane Corso jaw strength. We all know how strong Cane Corsos are. They have a muscular and powerful body, plus a very large head and jaw. I was always wondering how strong their bite is, since there are a lot of fake answers on the internet. So I did a lot of research, and this is the result I got. What is the bite force of a Cane Corso in PSI? Cane Corsos have a bite force of 552 PSI. That is the most realistic number and is generally accepted by reputable outlets. Some sources claim a PSI as large as 700, but somehow they never provide any evidence. There are a lot of factors that go into play when measuring a Cane Corso's bite force. Factors such as health, strength, body size, training, and most importantly the quality of the test itself. That is why there are a lot of different results. Some sources even claim their Corso measured 700 PSI, but is it realistic that a Cane Corso has a stronger bite than a Lion 650 PSI? I think not. Measuring the true Cane Corso bite force. Bite force is usually measured in PSI or pound per square inch. It is a unit of pressure representing how many pounds of pressure are applied per square inch. For reference, an average human applies only 16 PSI to the ground he is standing on. When researching the bite force of a Cane Corso, the most common numbers I found were 500, 550, 552, and some sources claiming 700. The generally accepted and reported by multiple reputable sources number by animal experts is 552. So why is there this number 700 circling around the internet? There is a possibility that someone really did measure 700. I didn't find any proof, but I'm not saying that it isn't possible that it happened. Maybe some Cane Corso did get lucky. He was in the zone, got the perfect angle, and bit the measuring equipment just right. Who knows? It may be possible, but highly unlikely. Here are some of the many good arguments why this number, 700 PSI, should be treated as a myth and not be considered accurate. It's far beyond any domestic dog, even higher than the PSI of his heavier relative English Mastiff, who measures 556 PSI. A 2005 National Geographic study conducted by Dr. Ilaire Brisbane at the University of Georgia confirms that dogs even with a perfect head and jaw structure are highly unlikely to have a bite force over 600 PSI. A lion has a bite force of 650 PSI. I know that we are all proud of our Cane Corsos, but it's ludicrous to think that they have a stronger bite than a freaking lion who outweighs them by more than 250 pounds. Lack of evidence. More precisely, no evidence. I have seen over 20 blog posts stating that a Cane Corso has a bite force of 700 PSI, but it seems to me that they are all just copying from one another. Since there isn't a single piece of evidence, I think that this number should be treated as a myth and not a fact. Cane Corso jaw strength. Still, Cane Corso's jaw strength is the real deal. Its bite force is the strongest in the canine world. Only a handful of other breeds can come close to the magnificent Cane Corso. Let's compare it to the bite force of some other breeds to put it into perspective. Malinois, 195 PSI. Chow Chow, 200 PSI. Labrador Retriever, 230 PSI. German Shepherd, 238 PSI. American Pit Bull Terrier, 240 PSI. Doberman Pinscher, 305 PSI. Rottweiler, 328 PSI. Wolfdog, 406 PSI. Dogo Argentino, 500 PSI. Cane Corso, 552 PSI. English Mastiff, 556 PSI. This is a list of the most powerful jaws in the dog world, and you can see that the Cane Corso is battling for the #1 spot. There is one more dog breed, the Kangal, which is said to have a baffling 743 PSI bite force. How much is 552 PSI actually? What does it mean to have a 552 PSI bite force, and what does that tell us about Cane Corso's jaw strength? It's best explained if we compare it to how much PSI is needed to break some stuff. PSI needed to break or crush. 8 PSI. Bones and fingers, 25 PSI. Collarbone, 175 PSI. Watermelon, 220 PSI. Glass bottle, 250 PSI. Ribs, 752 psi. Femur bone, 920 psi. Concrete, 2,500 psi. As you can see, 552 psi is a force to be reckoned with. 920 psi is needed to snap a femur bone clean, but that isn't accounting for the sharp teeth of a Cane Corso. Needless to say, they can do a lot of damage. Cane Corso bite force compared to other animals. Cat, 13 psi. Human, 150 psi. Tasmanian devil, 200 psi. Average dog, 235 psi. Cane Corso, 552 psi. Lion, 650 psi. Tiger, 1080 psi. Polar bear, 1200 psi. Bull shark, 1350 psi. Hippo, 1800 psi. Crocodile, 3700 psi. Cane Corsos are kings in the dog world, but in the whole animal kingdom, the crocodile takes the crown for the most powerful bite force with an astounding 3700 psi. Related questions. Do Cane Corsos lock their jaw? No, and by the way, not a single dog breed has a mechanism or enzyme that makes them lock their jaws. We all heard stories that when a pit bull bites someone, his jaw locks and he can't let go. That is just a myth. No dog has this jaw lock, not even pit bulls. Are Cane Corsos good guardian dogs? Of course, Cane Corsos are bred to be very family-oriented and protective dogs. They have a long history of being guardian dogs that date back to ancient Roman times. They are always alert, self-assured, confident, and will keep your home safe. Thanks for watching our video.